And the final topic on the table before we go to the fans forum has to do with golf. PGA season is complete. LIV is still out there, back in the news. Let's start first of all with the fact that there are 30 players who left the Pro Tour to go play in the Saudi Super League. Nobody's watching the LIV tournaments, despite the fact that Phil Mickelson is there and Dustin Johnson is there. And then they stole Cam Smith, the British Open winner, right at the end. And Brooks Koepka is there. Nobody's paying attention to it. The antitrust lawsuit is still out there. As it relates to the guys on the tour right now, the latest development is that Greg Norman has come to the U.S. and is meeting with a Congressional Oversight Committee. And they are discussing the business model that LIV is operating under. And the biggest question is all this guaranteed money, bribing all these players to go abroad and to play in these LIV tournaments. Is it legal? Is it right? Morally, ethically, financially? Greg Norman is meeting with Congress. Greg Norman was asked, while you're here in the States, will you meet with Jay Monahan, the PGA commissioner, to talk about some type of truce, to see if there's a way to make the sides come together? Would you allow your guys to come back and play in PGA events? He said, absolutely not. He said, I am not talking to them. And of course, Greg Norman and the LIV have filed the antitrust lawsuit against the PGA Tour. The other angle to this is what's just happened. Phil Mickelson, who was one of the first ones to jump in a very controversial move, has withdrawn his name from the antitrust lawsuit. Now, Mickelson at first said, hey, I was right. They didn't share all their money with us for a long period of time. Here came the LIV, and now suddenly the PGA is pouring a ton of money into prize purses for the guys that are still on the Pro Golf Tour. I was right. And the second thing is now he is asking the PGA Tour to meet with Greg Norman and find some working relationship. But I don't think Jay Monahan wants to meet with Norman. I don't think Norman wants to meet with them. And Phil Mickelson, who's not played well at all, he's got a sixth place finish, and the rest of his finishes in the tours have been anywhere between 35 and 48. Phil Mickelson says we need to find peace. Now, to me, that's a little bit hypocritical because he's the one that triggered this whole thing by going for all the guaranteed money. But his response was, see, I told you they had all this money they were hoarding and sitting on. Now they're finally sharing it, but all of our guys have left. So I'm not sure where this is going to go going forward, but neither side wants to talk right now. And your reaction?
Well, I mean, there's two parts to the story, right? I mean, on one side, the economics of it, you can't blame the players for switching from a purely economic perspective because of the better opportunity for the players, the more financial payout, the purses are bigger, they pay down line much further. But it's kind of like when you're talking about Brittany Griner in Russia and the other WNBA players refusing to sign contracts to play in Russia because they disagree morally, politically with what's going on in that nation. I just wish we saw more PGA golfers do the same thing, that were in it for more than just the money, that saw that, you know, aligning themselves with the LIV and all the BS that's connected to that is something that is frankly the wrong thing to do. So it's just a mess. Is Mickelson going to bring us back together and have a marriage? I don't know. But you know, when you've got, how many left? You said 35 players?
30 total.
30 total. I mean, the PGA is just wrecked from that. I mean, they've got to get their house organized, and hopefully the PGA can step up and just kind of solve it by putting, you know, allotting the money the right way.